think we're ready. So sorry about that. So once again, thank you very much for inviting me to come and join you. When I was discussing with Dr. Byron what he would like me to speak about, I thought it might be interesting for the Indian society to hear a little bit about how we developed sports medicine in Australia and how we became medical specialists. So in many ways, you are where we were at the start of our journey. There were a lot of interest, a lot of passionate people about sports medicine. So let's talk again about how you developed So the title of the Australian sports medicine story from nothing to specialists. The story begins in 1985. It was a memorable year. I think it started the diploma in India. In 1985, was sort of the start of sports medicine really in Australia. And it was memorable for many years, memorable for other reasons. This is my favourite sporting ground. It's the Melbourne cricket ground, which is just not far from where I live and where I spend a lot of my time. And the highlight of the year that year was this day, winning the World Championship of Cricket at the MCG and defeating the final. So 1985 was a good year for India. It was a good year for Australian sports medicine. So what was happening in sports medicine in our country at that time was there'd been an organisation called the Australian Sports Medicine Federation, ASMF, which was a multidisciplinary body. So they had doctors, physiotherapists, exercise scientists, nutritionists, etc. That had been in existence for over 20 years. They had an annual conference that was very successful. There was a course that I did when I was general practice back in 1983, run by the College of General Practitioners in conjunction with ASMF. But one afternoon a week, it's a very basic course for general practitioners. That's all there was as far as education in Australia.
Hello.
There were a number of sports medicine centres starting up in Australia. They were multidisciplinary centres, and there were some in Sydney, some in Melbourne, Brisbane, and but there was no postgraduate qualification in sports medicine, not even a diploma, a master's, there was nothing. But basically, you could watch a football match one day, and the next day put your sign up saying, sports medicine. There's no way of determining who had qualifications, who had experience, and who was competent in sports medicine. As I said, these sports medicine clinics were multidisciplinary. Doctors, sports doctors, orthopedic surgeons, physiotherapists, massage therapists, podiatrists, psychologists, scientists. And this is the one that I started in part sports medicine centre in Melbourne, which is the largest in Australia. We have up to 60 or 70 practitioners working at that centre part-time. So back in 1985, received a letter. Now, the younger members of the audience wouldn't know what a letter is, but it's something that we used to correspond. We used to do it on a typewriter. That's probably only in museums these days, but that's what we did. We sent these letters, and we got a postman to deliver it in a letterbox. So radical for you younger members of the audience. But I received this letter inviting me to a meeting, and it was a meeting to discuss the formation of an Australian Association of Sports Physicians. And it was in Sydney. I live in Melbourne. It was in Sydney in those days. Flying to Sydney was a big deal. Nowadays, we hop on to go to the local bus, but those days it was a big deal. And I thought, no, let's go to this meeting. So I flew up to Sydney and then went to the The aims of this association are as follows. I won't go through them all. They were admirable. And that's what we were set. That was the information that I was set and a number of other sports doctors around the country set. That was the agenda for the meeting.
सर वहाँ पे हम लोग स्टार्ट करते हैं जल्दी करो सर गए वहाँ पे हाँ जी जी
So there on the left is Peter Brukner, and myself, we're at the World
Jackie
Student
Chapman.
Games. 20 people attended the first meeting. The chairman, Jim Siggins, got up and said, let's start a college. Let's start the Australian College of Sports Editions. And I was sitting in the audience thinking, we can just start a college. There's a Royal College of Surgeons, Royal College of Physicians, and just start a college. We did. That day, we inaugurated the Australian College of Sports Physicians. Subsequently became the Australasian College of Sports Physicians, and our New Zealand College joined us. And later on, still the Australasian College of Sport and Exercise. That was the day it all started. The College of Sports Solutions. And due to the vision of this man, we established this college. So it's all very well to have a meeting and say, let's have a college. But we actually had to act like a college. And the aim of this college was to progress sports medicine from where it was then, no post-graduate qualification, no way of determining who was competent and who wasn't, no way of educating people, to the level of a medical specialty. Quite a challenge. It's not been done before on new college in Australia. So we had a job in front of us. We initially, as you are here at an annual conference, we had to establish a curriculum. What exactly was sports medicine? So my colleague Watson, a lot of time we had been writing to tell me what the curriculum was for sports medicine. It wasn't just injuries. It was much broader than that. It was medicine exercise. It was very broad. We had to decide whether we would stand alone as a college or become associated or part of another college. We initially had discussions with the Australian College of Rehabilitation Medicine. There's a lot of overlap between sports medicine and rehabilitation medicine, and later with the Australasian College of Sports of Physicians. But ultimately, those negotiations did not progress. You can imagine if you're just starting up a specialty, if you like. One of the biggest challenges is to determine who gets the initial fellowships. Obviously, you've got to start with a group. You've got a group of experienced people who have been doing sports medicine for some time. How do we assess which of those are at the level of a specialty? Which of those have more work to do? We did a logo as well. That's our logo. It's the best logo in the world, but it's our logo. Now, as in this country, we inherited our medical system and our specialist medical system from the British. And you're a medical degree, you graduate with an MBBS after 5 or 6 years. You do 2, 3, 4 years of hospital residency. You sit a part 1 exam, a basic entry exam into whatever specialty you're going to attempt to join. And then, if you're lucky, you're admitted into a 3 to 4 year training program to become a cardiologist or a surgeon or whatever. At the end of that, towards the end of that, you sit an exit fellowship exam. At the end of it, you're either a specialist or a consultant. Specialists tend to be the surgeons who maybe don't spend as much time with their patients as physicians, and consultants are physicians. And they, in Australia, they attract a different rebate rate. If get a lot more for a consultation as a consultant, you do as a specialist. Specialists can do all those fancy procedures and make all the paper. So that was the system that we inherited, and that was the system that existed in Australia. And so we determined that we should follow those guidelines to become a specialist. So one of the terms that we use is grandfathers. You grandfathered in as a fellow. And so we had to decide, well, should the senior members of the sports medicine fraternity, you can imagine the equivalents sitting in the front rows here in your country, should they be just awarded fellowship and potentially specialty status, or do they have to sort of go through some examination process? And there was a lot of debate, as obviously we had vested interest too, that we didn't really want to do an exam. But we decided one of the important things, one of the big challenges that we had as sports physicians was credibility. Credibility within the medical system. Because I know a lot of our medical colleagues probably didn't regard us as quite as high, maybe intellectually and research-wise, as some of the other specialties. They're just sports docs. You know, they just run out in a football field or a cricket field, and that's all they do. So we felt it was really important to set the bar very high, so that we can get credibility within the other medical, the broader medical profession. So we decided that no one would be grandfathered in. We would all have to sit exam. One of my colleagues, who was in his 70s then, had never sat a multiple choice exam in his life. He emigrated from Poland, and multiple choice questions didn't exist in those days. So he found it very challenging. But so everyone had to sit the fellowship exam before they became a fellow of their PhD. So the big question is, well, who's eligible? Who's allowed to sit this specialist exam? So what we did was we invited everyone, all the members of the group, to submit their CVs, and we assessed their CV to whether they had done the equivalent of a specialist training. So whether they'd spent a significant amount of time and had the necessary experience to be classified as having gone through the equivalent of a training program. And for those that we felt hadn't quite fulfilled that, we would assess whether they needed an extra year or extra 2 years, so on. So everyone got assessed as to where they stood in the sort of pecking order, if you like. There are 5 levels of advanced. So the inaugural fellowship exam was held in 1991. There were 2 written papers on multiple choice, one essay. One of the issues is, well, who examined you then? Because all the senior sports medicine people were doing the exam, who can examine you. And what we did do is we got a number of specialists from other colleges, rheumatologists, orthopedic surgeons, who've had experience in sports medicine to do the examining. So as someone who did the exam, I actually went from doing the exam one year to becoming chief examiner the next year, which is probably going to go with this year in drive. But the first year we just had non-sports medicine doctors doing the exam. The exam was held in Melbourne, 42 passes. And that was the announcement in the national newspaper in those days. That's how you send information out, either by letter or by announcement in the newspaper. And that was the announcement in the newspaper of the successful candidates. At our annual conference, we decided, well, we'll have a dinner here. We decided to make this a sort of a fellowship dinner where we awarded fellowships every year. And I suggested that we should make it a formal black tie dinner. And my colleagues all laughed at me and said, don't be ridiculous, we'll get a bit above ourselves then. And my argument was, this is going to be something really special to achieve. You know, if you have gone through, 4 years of postgraduate training exams and done all met all the criteria, it was quite an achievement. We wanted to make it, my idea was we want to make a big deal out of that achievement. by honouring it at dinner, black tie dinner, at a formal presentation of the fellowships. Anyway, that was one of the few medals I won. And sure enough, we had a black tie dinner. This was in Canberra at our 900 conference. This was the inaugural cohort of fellows. Far too many men compared to women, and you're pleased to know the numbers are now easing up quite a lot. But in those days, you know, it was very much male-dominated. Women in the college were very upset when they see this photo of 4 women sitting demurely in the front row, and all the men behind them. So it's very sexist, which it probably was in those days. So they were the candidates. So we had an initial cohort then of fellows, of potential specialists. So we weren't specialists, obviously, but we were setting everything up to try and attain specialist status. And there they were. So then we had to establish a training program for those people who wanted to become sports medicine specialists. Now, the problem was that at that time, all specialty training in medicine was done in public hospitals, and therefore they sort of government funded. The government funded those hospitals, funded the salaries, and so the government, in effect, were really sponsoring the training programs for all the medical colleges. The problem was, of course, there was no sports medicine in public hospitals, and there's still very little around the world public hospitals. So we had to establish training posts in private sports medicine clinics. The challenge then, of course, was that how were those going through the training program, which we called registrars, how are they going to be funded? We couldn't afford to pay them salary. So they were funded by a combination of consulting, we'll talk about that in a minute, orthopaedic assisting, team coverage. So the idea was that, say, in their first year of training, they would spend the first, few weeks, months, maybe sitting in with the senior fellows, and then graduate to consulting in the room next door and being able to ask questions. And then as they went through the 4 years of the program, further and further down the corridor away from the sessions. But we were asking our fellows to train these people for no payment. There was no payment available to pay us senior fellows, especially dental specialists, to train these registrars. Whereas in the public hospital system, consultants are paid, part of that is the expectations that they will teach to you. So this was a very unique situation. See, there's never been a training program in Australia set up outside the hospital system. So in retrospect, we were crazy when I think that this would happen. But we were very naive and ambitious at the time. So we put an ad out for people who wanted to join the training program. 3 trainees, or registrars as we call them. Some of you would know John Orchard, who's the Chief Medical Officer of Brukner, Australia. The character is John, and he was the only one of those 3 who actually went on. The next development was the following year. We joined with the Canadian Association of Sports Medicine, co-sponsored the journal. Gordon Madison, who was the editor of that journal, visited Australia. We developed a good relationship with him, and we became the co-sponsors of the clinical journal of Sport Medicine. Subsequent to that, we got involved with the British Journal of Sports Medicine at the time. Again, this is all just giving us credibility as well as giving us an avenue for our registration policy. The following year, further 35 invited us into town. We've done an extra year of training, 30 stats, 17 parts written, 13 parts to that. Now, around that time, a certain textbook started to appear. I probably should tell you the story about how that. learn from critical sources. So back in 1992, I think, I wrote an article for one of the medical newspapers in Australia, Doctor, and 6 months later I'd completely forgotten about it, and out of the blue I got an approach from the leading medical publisher asking me if I'd like to write expensive. And my immediate inclination was to say, well, no, I wait to junior and inexperienced to do that. You know, it's only old ones who write textbooks. And I sort of said, no, thanks. And they were very persistent. And my colleagues reminded me that I basically increased my text that had been written. So they're all American, orthopedic based, and in the junior practice. So one thing led to another, and I said I would do that. I would write the textbook. My restricted my colleague Khan with a long conference to be my and basically became very much a team thing produced by clinical department sports medicine, and we really it was really a manual on how to practice. We were very keen for it to be a multidisciplinary, because most all of our textbooks were very big, very orthopedic, very medical, and we really felt there was a huge audience among not just sports medicine doctors, but physiotherapists, massage therapists, podiatrists, and so on, for a book such as this. So with that in mind, we wanted to keep the price down. So said to the publisher, we really like the price to be under $100. And that's now, well, we've done our sums and we're going to market it at $129. So, that was a lot of those, you know, this is 1990, this is 30 years ago. It's a lot of money in those days. Cool. So we said to them, well, you know, what's the basis of that? How do you base the price? They said it's all about volume. You know, the more you print, the lower the price. So we said to them, well, how many are you intending to print for the start? And they said 1,500. And so we said to the publishers, how many would you have to print to bring the price down to $99 for $129? They did their sums. They said we'd have to double it. We'd have to print 3,000 instead of 1,500. So I took a deep breath and said, okay, we'll buy 1,500. So, 2 authors, we bought $1,500, 1,500 books. We read by 1,500 books published at the wholesale price. I was sort of absolutely never heard of anything like this before. And we set up a little system where people, so in those days, all the journals and magazines were copy. There was no such thing as the internet or online. So we used to put little advertising leaflets into all the journals and newsletters and fill in name, address, and tick the box. You put in your check. And funny things that we used to pay money. You should attach your check and post it off to our warehouse. And we managed to sell all 1,500 copies. Because the publishers are very good at the medical market, they had no idea about it. So we actually made a little bit of money out of it, but more importantly, we kept the price down. So the book was a success way beyond our sort of wild street. It was successful, reprint after reprint. And after a few years, they said, well, you know, the book's a bit old now, it's over 5 years old, we've got to do another edition. And all that. And so we did another edition, and we've done another edition every 5 years since. We then realised we started to use it as a textbook. We never used as a textbook. So we thought, gosh, we're actually going to reference it. So the first edition, I hardly any references, not there was much sports and some research around in those days, but we referenced some of them. And now there's about 30 references. So the second one came out in 1999. The first colour one came out in 2005. 2010 was It's the 4th edition. Tim Powell, the Australian soccer player, played for Everton. It's presenting him with his copy of him on the front at Everton's training ground. And probably that was the thing so big you could hardly lift it. You know, I expected it to be used as a door stop, not as a textbook, but it was getting too. So we decided the next issue that we would have to do the 2 volumes. So 5th edition, which came out 5 years ago, we had volume 1, which is injury side of it, and volume 2, which is exercise. Well, it's now more than 5 years since then, so sure enough, we're out again. We're doing 6th edition. Apparently, I stayed after the last one, but I never do another one, but somehow we've been forced into doing the 6th edition. And it's not just 2 volumes now, it's 3 volumes. We're calling it a trilogy. So I think we'll reveal exclusively to this conference that the first volume will be out next month. We're out with 2 old blokes, we're a lot older and not much wiser when we started. There's the 6 books so far, and the next one is this one, coming out next month. So we're splitting the injury side up into a more of a general side, all the foundations of clinical practice, and then the injury side of top of that. We're currently working on the 2nd volume. Probably the emails overnight, and that should be out in the middle of next year. And the 3rd volume. Then, I'm sorry. Okay, you heard it now. If you ever hear any group, I'd like to hear it again. Feel free to contact me and say, you said you were going to do another one. No, definitely. So if anyone would like to take it over, well, that's the story of it's obviously part of the Australian sports medicine story because initially it was very much an Australian book. It's now become very much international. We have over 100 authors in each volume. Our job, currently my job is to coordinate everything, sourcing the images and that. It basically takes a year of our lives in 5 years. So 2.5 years or whatever. But it's basically a full-time job for a year to do this experience. But it's a labour of love. I don't know why we continue doing it. We don't really need it for our careers anymore. We don't mind our careers. But I guess I feel, and I think Karen would agree, that it's really it's a duty to the profession and we've to it. So this will be the 6th and last one from us, and hopefully, as with medical textbooks, Harrison's been there for a long time, and we're still looking at Harrison's and Ray's certainly been there for a long time, and Ray's an advocate. So hopefully we'll pass along after that. All right, let's get back to the story of college. We talked earlier about most colleges have an entrance exam, usually like a basic sciences exam. Surgeons all have to do an anatomy exam and so on. So we established our part 1 exam, which is anatomy, physiology, volume 2, volume 3 papers. And in 1993, we had our first candidates, 5 candidates, all went on to become prominent. New Zealand friends, who was more senior. In 1993, we invited them to submit the first exam. They didn't accept it. Still friends, but no, it started a very good relationship with New Zealand colleagues, and sometime later, the obviously became Australasian, which is a strange conferences in New Zealand every 3 or 4 years. A couple of presidents now in New Zealand. What was part of that so strong. So at this stage, we set everything up. We had our curriculum, we had our exam process, we had our training program. We thought, okay, it's time to bite the bullet and apply for specialist recognition. And there was a process in place at that time, last week, National Specialist Qualification Accreditation Committee, mouthful. But we commenced in 1994. We put our submission in to apply for a specialist. Now, all of our colleagues and people in other colleges and people who new the system said it'll take you 15 years to get special reference. Oh, quite ridiculous. It might have taken other people 15 years, but you haven't seen us in action. We'll get there in a lot less than 15 years. So, one of the things that was required was support from other medical colleges. So they were all asked to comment, and we then presented to all the other medical colleges as a group called the presidents of medical colleges. We get together every 3 months, so we presented to them. We were doing a lot of lobbying, I've been sitting outside parliamentarians' offices in Parliament House in Canberra, talking to them about sports medicine. So it was very much a political process. Here is the front page of our submission in 1990. Remember that date? Manual that we provided. Following year, again, we were looking for credibility. And so we then invited the other specialist colleges to observe our exams, to make sure that they were rigorous and they were high understanding. And we actually established a board of examiners. We had specialists in this area run a series of workshops for us, and we really tried to raise our standard to a level of melancholy. Again, a lot of it, for them. So then, boom, 1999, just when we thought we were about to become specialists, the government in its wisdom decided to abandon the process, the national process. As to why they did that, no one really knows. So, you might do that every time. And you think they would come up with another alternative process. But no, there was no alternative process. And it took another 3 years before that alternative process put in place in the Australian Medical Council, which is the council that recognises proves of individual status, became the organisation to approve new specialists. So they developed a new process, subcommittee, expensive, we thought it was estimated cost $50,000 to $100,000. We weren't a very wealthy college, but we all coughed up about an extra $1,000 to fund that specialist. We're one of 9 prospective new colleges applied for specialty recognition. But fortunately, we were the first one. If we've been in the long list, we were the first one to sit. It was a 2-part process. First of all, we had to prove that sports medicine was a distinct and viable specialty in its own right. So it wasn't just a part of orthopedics, part of something else. It was a specific area of medicine that was unique to sports medicine. As you imagine, that was unique. Then secondly, once a specialty was approved, we had to demonstrate to the Australian Medical Council that we can provide the necessary training, accreditation, and specialty to establish this standard. 2-part process. We went through that process. This was the first one, 2007, that was approved. That stage 1 was complete. We went on to stage 2, and this was the document that we submitted in 2000. Assessment of subordinate side medicine. Then in 2009, whoopee, specialist recognition. Now you remember exactly 15 years after we started. This is exactly what they told us, and we said, no, right, we will be much quicker than that. 15 years. Better late than never. So that was a very better day. 24 years since inception of college in 1985, 15 years after our initial and literally hundreds of pounds of work, carried solutions, lobbying, talking to people. We started a session for a small group of half a dozen months. We spent 15 years trying to So interestingly, we were recognised as specialists. So I mentioned before the difference between specialists and consultants. So specialists traditionally have been surgical sort of colleges. Consultants have been more the medical colleges. And we applied to be one of the consultants, but they didn't grant us. They said you could be specialists but not consultants. So our rebate rates from the government, we got a system in Australia where the government rebates to patients for attending GPs or specialist consultants, GPs to this level of rebate, that level, consultants are that. So we're at the specialist level. And we have now spent the last 15 years, since 2009, trying to upgrade to consultants, and we've been unofficially told that's going to happen to consultants rather than specialists. So again, it's never ending. They're constantly happening to So that's really exciting because I can't absolutely 100% confirm. Next week is an announcement in the So we're going to be consultants finally, which will be 40 years, exactly 40 years after we start. Anyway, so back in 2009, we had 138 active fellows. At the time, we had 27 registrars. That was the timeline from 1985 to 2000. Quite stark. So you pop it up in one slide and you think, oh, that's pretty simple. But that was 15 years ago, 24 years ago. What about now? So I'll jump from 2009 to 2024. We're now the Australasian college of sport and exercise solutions. We added the exercise other than demonstrate that that's what we did. I think it was a straight out claim that we were the exercise specialists rather than rheumatologists or researchers or whatever. And partly for political reasons, we felt that we broadened our sort of scope and our attractiveness, if you like, to sport and exercise solutions. There's over 250 fellows now. We have 50 registrars at any one time. It's now become very competitive. There was a period there before we became specialists where pretty much everyone who wanted to get onto the training program was able to. Now it's very, very competitive. I think we had 45 applicants this year for 14 places, and they were really high quality. So I want to be out, which is great. It's sad for people missing out. But the quality of people coming into sports medicine now is absolutely top quality. We have people who are top league medical courses, and people like that, rather than people like me. We still have it in your conference. Usually, we have an education program called the SEM Academy, which I think as I said, we think we're going to be consultants. And where do we work? Well, where do all these fellows, once they become specialists, where do they work? Well, there's still a lot of private sports medicine centres. So a varying sizes, some quite large, like our centre in Melbourne, some multidisciplinary, some just sports physicians. There might be a group of sports physicians, 3, 4, 5, who form a practice together. And there are single sports physicians just working by themselves as consultants from GPs. So most are working at least part time. A lot of people do a hybrid job where they might work 2, 3, 4 days in a clinic, then they do a day of research or a day with a team or something like that. So it's quite common to have a hybrid job. We have a number of national and state sports institutes. You may have heard of the Australian Institute of Sport in Canberra. It's going out for 30 odd years, very successful. Number of practitioners work there. And each state in Australia, we have 6 states and 2 territories in Australia, and they all have state and territory institutes who employ doctors and physicians. Professional sporting teams. Well, when I first started, back around that time in 1985, I worked for one of the Australian football teams, which is the biggest sport in Australia. And I would go down to training at the end of my day twice a week. So at 5 o'clock, I'd leave the clinic, go down and supervise training for 2 or 3 hours, and we would play a game on the Saturday. Nowadays, of course, they're all full-time, footballers and sports people are full-time, and as a result, they require a lot more time from the medical staff. So you can actually be full-time in the professional football leagues in Australia, full-time doctor, or many of them have 2 doctors who share and acute things. So there's plenty of work for sports physicians in professional sporting teams in Australia. Most professional teams have at least one sports physician as head of their medical team, and they complement that with a registrar or the chief medical sports medicine, or some cases emergency medicine physician. But nearly every professional fund would have a sports physician on their Olympic sports, we see there are roles there for travel with teams and for attachment to teams. Personally, I worked with 5 national sports: swimming, soccer, athletics, hockey, and football. So there are lots of jobs available. Is every sport basically has 4 teams, a men's and a women's team, and a men's and students who travel all the time. So there is huge opportunities to travel internationally, which rarely, when you're in Australia, you're a long way from. So the travel is at least 2, 3, sometimes 4 weeks. Essentially, they find difficulty finding enough people to travel. So there's lots of opportunities there. If you're the chief medical officer of the sporting bodies, I mentioned Journals before, so the chief medical officer for cricket Australia for some time, previously the chief medical officer for swimming, to like netball, and so on. So there are jobs there, which you usually part-time for roles, and roles. Surgical assisting, there's always been a lucrative income in Australia from assisting orthopaedic surgeons, surgery. And so we encourage our registrars to do that, to supplement their income, and also to expose them to surgery and to for them an opportunity for them to see what the surgeons are doing. I personally think that once you're a specialist, you should be doing that some models. And then there's some academic positions. I'm a part-time professor at LaTrobe University. There are a number of other sports physicians who have part-time academic roles in Australia. So as you can see, there's a whole variety of different areas for the sports physicians. So thank you for your time. I started off with an Indian triumph. I thought I should balance things out a little bit by it's painful. I know it's very painful to here. I still don't know how we won that World Cup last year, but we did. But we had your team arriving in Australia this week, and honestly, I don't think there's ever been as much anticipation for a cricket series in Australia as this time. Traditionally, New England has always been our sort of our real arch enemy, if you like. But the amount of talk and publicity about this coming series in Australia is huge, and I'm looking forward to doing. I reckon 3 to Australia. Thanks so much.